I've been talking to David, and well, I think we're getting somewhere, but it's up to you guys to say, or I'll have to listen to it and see if we said anything good. I'll kind of summarize the implications of what we've been saying. And we're trying to talk on a personal level, but it's always so sneaky where the world level and the cultural level and the philosophical level all kind of sneak in our discussions, but we're trying to keep it down in the personal level. And what for? Because that's where we feel like we're most, have our most abilities. And, we should, in theory, be able to do something about ourselves, and we may not be able to do something about the world or the community or whatever, our job. So then how do we want to change things, or we want to develop and unfold and grow, and we have our ideas about what these are. And then when it seems to be that we're doing that, there is a growth or a change or something new or a new interest, then we feel a satisfaction, we get a good feeling out of it. And so then we say, well, life is good, I'm so happy, I shouldn't be sitting here, I should be up dancing. So then the question is like, well, how do things change?
Mm-hmm.
What is the mechanism of it so that we could if we want to, we could just go with it and say, well, things are changing and it's always working. And that's good enough for me, and I don't even have to look at it. And because it's always, I must be open to new changes. And so then how do I get open and all that? But we're talking about lots of people, and some are open and some are not, and some are stuck. And so then and even ourselves, if we looked into it, maybe we'd grab the steering wheel a little bit better. And we don't have to grab the steering wheel out of need. Oh, I need to change. I got to do this. I must. No, you can just do it for we said before, experiment. But so how do things change? And so the easy answer is okay, well, we do something different. Yeah, well, so that has a lot of ramifications, In other words, it says that the situation is based on what we do. And if we do something different, the situation will reflect that. Whatever the situation is, whatever we're talking about. But the situation has to do with our external, our relationships, and our environment. That's within the confines of what we feel we can do. We can't. Who knows? We could be famous and we'd go out and give speeches, and maybe we'd get some new political party going or something. I don't think so, But so then within those confines, we do something different, and that is a linkage. What you do creates what is here, and what you do different creates a different here. And then we say, well, my life is so static. Well, of course, what you do yesterday made today, and what you did yesterday is exactly what you did last year. And so then today looks like last year, and hey, guess what? Right now you're doing the same damn thing. So tomorrow's going to be a repeat. 100% repeat. You got it, man. Tomorrow is, you got it. You know what it is. It's just like today. It's just like last year. It's just like 20 years ago. Up to a point, and these different things, right? And this certain kind of mentality that, and this certain kind of action pattern that you've gone. Oh, you totally believe in it.
But this brings up a very interesting point. If we do have this verbal bucket that we're in, how does It seems like if I'm acting from the verbal mechanisms within the bucket, nothing really new is going to happen. So where does this newness, what's the quality of this new thing that's coming in?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, how do you do something different is the main question, and then the main answer is you change your mind. So then that is the verbal bucket. You change your mind. Somehow you say, well, I've done that so long, I'm not going to do that anymore. And sometimes there's a breakthrough where you say, oh my God, I'll never do that again. And rarely, though, mostly you say, oh, I got to keep doing what I do. So that is usually the opposite, that the old patterns, old action patterns, and old mental patterns, because we said you have to change your mind in order to do something different. So that's something that not everybody believes. We should talk to those people that don't believe it. They might say, no. You just have to do what we're doing now, but you have to do it in a better way. You have to do it more. You have to do it harder. You have to do it more consistently.
But that is still a new thing. There's something new about that, harder, and it's a small new.
You got the same premise, and you just say, well, you've been butting your head against the wall, and then say, do it harder. Oh, you're going to knock that wall down, and you put a helmet on and do it.
But for me, this question goes back to what I said earlier in our first little take, is I feel like there is another factor involved in our experience, in our verbal experience, in our known patterning. There is also this, call it awareness, call it consciousness, that is there prior to the structures, the verbal structures and formulation. There is something that's prior to that. And I think from there's all kinds of possibility of newness.
Okay, I can say two things about that, one is I can say that, yeah, there is a place like that, and you can go down to that place. I'll call it down, but, you go into that place. And that's a renewal. And when you come out, you might be renewed, and then again, you might just reconstruct the old. And I might say that a lot of people don't have access to that point, and we want to talk to them too. And there is a point like that. But anyhow, if you don't have access to that point or see what that neutral point is, don't worry about it. Because you're alive too, and it's whatever you're doing is working, and there'll be a way, and so then there's that neutral point in there that's kind of dropping all your judgments for a moment. Mm-hmm. I don't think they drop, and really we don't want to drop our judgments, because the judgments make our actions. Our judgments are our premises or our beliefs or our definitions, or however you want to say it. And but what you want to do is reconstruct them. Mm-hmm. We want to look at them in a way and say, and we had suggested before, well, call it an experiment, because you're not sure how to reconstruct them, and so then you have to go around and listen to all these talks and all these people with all these ideas, and they're going to lay this one on you and lay that one on you, and you can take a course and read a book and all these things, but you never really can put someone else's life on your life. In other words, you can't wear their clothes. You got to develop your own clothes. So then, okay, maybe you can reach the neutral point. I'm just calling it that, or the center or the source or whatever. And maybe you can't, but so to do something different, you got to change your mind. Mm-hmm. And to change your mind, how do you, let's just talk like, okay, to change your mind. Number one, you can kind of try to reset it by going to a softer place. And then when you probably you'll come out of that place. You can't really live from that place, or I don't know if you can, or I don't know if you want to, right? Mm-hmm. And and then you come out of it and say, well, things are softer, and then, well, but what we want to look at is the technology of changing, not just softening it for a while or just noticing that there's more to life than my treadmill, my mental treadmill. So then I would say, how do you change your mind? Well, I think it's also simple that you just realize that what I believed before, how I defined things before, is not true. Okay, these beliefs are faulty. This action is, my mental things that drives my actions are faulty somehow, and or they may be faulty, and I should try to jiggle them around a little bit and see what happens. Maybe they'll get better. Maybe they'll get worse. I don't know, but you'll know if they get worse or better because you can feel it. You can feel when things are going smooth, and you can feel when things are erratic, scary. And so then you change your mind. So then you change your mind because you find out that wasn't true. So then how do you find out things are not true? Well, you got to look at them. If you're not looking, you're never going to find it out, You got to be open and say, well, let's let them in. And that's where you said before, and I told you, for me, that's exactly it. What am I saying to myself? And so now you're looking. And for the most part, you're going to say, well, I've said that for a long time. And the reason is because it always reflects in my life. It always works that way. It doesn't work for my life necessarily, but it works that way that it screws me up in a certain way. And then, so then you're looking, oh boy, that's a huge step. That's, my God, that is a mountain you have to climb to get over that mountain and start to look at your verbal patterns.
Right.
And even not knowing how to judge them or how to say they're good or bad or this one's worse or that one's better or I should do like the other guy. Forget the comparison, guys. Just forget other people because you're on your own process. We talked about that before too, but it's a big, big thing. We can't just say it in a little video and we got only a few minutes. So that, but your own process means that somehow your own experiments give certain results. And those results are a feedback, and then you can make some determinations out of that, and then you can change your mind, and therefore you can change what you do. And when you change what you do, guess what? It reflects in your life, and oh wow, changes came up. Oh, this guy offered me a new job. Oh wow. Someone wants to buy my house. Oh, I'm going to sell it, and if I can get this amount of money. Wow, what will I do with that money? Oh, yeah, I'll buy a cheaper house and have extra, I'll do this and that. I'll move out in the country, da. So then things open up. I claim that things are opening up every minute, every day for sure. And then we're just in a tunnel vision. So then we have no opportunities. We're in tunnel vision. Oh, I got to do this. No opportunities. Oh, there are opportunities that are going knock, knock, knock. Hey, hello, come on. No opportunities. I got nothing. So then you're looking. Oh, huge step. And then you determine, I don't know. I would say you determine it's not true, but you really can't even determine that because you're so sure it is true. So
exactly. That's where I think to me that is it true, and you see that they're false. That's a huge step. But some of the things you've said, and in our conversations, we have come up with words like. My perspective on this or my thoughts about this are incomplete or not up to date or obsolete.
Not up to date is a beauty,
Yeah, so that's softer. It's like if someone says my thoughts are wrong, I might have a reflex that says wait a minute and try to defend them. But if I think these thoughts are a bit obsolete or not up to date, I'm like, well, yeah, that's probably right. And then I got some wiggle room now to think, how can I improve my perspective? Because even I, in my kind of lower states of consciousness, can recognize, yeah, I can do better than this. It might be sort of right, but I could tweak it to make it better. And so that's
to say it might be out of date, it might be obsolete. That's enough.
That's enough.
You don't have to be sure it's obsolete.
Exactly.
It might be, though.
Yeah. Because if I ask myself the question, am I sure that my perspective is totally up to date and spot on? It's like, well, I'm not sure about that.
Well, I don't know. I think you have to make a definition. Never. Never is it up to date. Zero for anybody. So then you just have to get the definition that, I'm always open to receive the universe.
Yeah.
And, sure, I'm going to defend my rights and I'm not going to let people trample on me and stuff like that, but I'm still open to see for myself in my own confines with my own privacy and to take a look. And, most of the times I don't take a look because things are going pretty good.
Yeah, and you don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, an irritation is a knocking of the universe, knock on the door, right? And saying, hey, here's a place you could look. And say, well, not today. Today I'm gonna. See, I have no deadlines because I run my life that way now, and I used to have a lot of deadlines, and I loved them. And so then I can always say tomorrow, but things work so much for me. I would even call it a miracle. The best part of my life for sure, and or I could just say I'm so lucky, and of course I'm not lucky, or there's no luck or nothing. It's just that I'm open, and I don't try to cut things out. Yeah, I have a spam blocker and stuff like that, but but I seem to have a kind of a good nose for what's right and what's wrong, right? And I sniff it out.
Nice. I love this phrase. I'm always open to receive the universe. Beautiful. That's a nice orientation.
Well, maybe I'll wrap it up with a couple of ideas. So these are like, it's not really a presentation. I mean, I don't have an outliner. I'm going to do one. I'm going to make a PowerPoint and try to do a presentation just for the fun of it, and say some of these things in an ordered way. And we didn't really, when we just kick them back and forth, they may be not so ordered or not so orderly and not so prioritized. But there is a base that you can build on, and then, okay, like I want something to change. I need to do something different. I need to change my thoughts. How do you do it? You need to determine your thoughts are not true and are less than true or something. Then you got to look at them, and then you got to try a few things out and see which one feels better. And it's only a little step for today. And so then these are kind of conversations, that let's just call it a conversation for possibilities, because we're saying, well, how do you go about creating a new verbal context, which we, in shorthand, we like to say verbal container. It's a context, context is a normal word. You don't have to have a jargon container. And a context is where things live in. They're in a context, right? And the chemistry is in the context of electrons, because the electrons are plus and minus, and that's what keeps all the bonds going. And so all chemistry and all of life is about chemistry. And chemistry is the context. And in this case, it's more than a verbal context. It's a reality context, matter context. But, we talk about it in a verbal context. And so then context is not a big deal. And so we're talking about how to be able to build a new premise, and then we call that empowerment. And then we want empowerment and liberation, and we want to stay away from complications. And things could be what they call complex, but that's another word that means they're interrelated. There's lots of things that are interrelated, and if we call it complex, so then we have to look at all the words and say, look, what's the denotation? What's the connotation? Connotation of complex means I can't do it. It's all screwed up. You need a supercomputer. No, that's just a model. You can do it. Your life is just right there in front of you. And then things are interrelated. That's okay. And that's how it is. We're a one. We're a oneness, And then in science, we divide things up, because we say, oh, there's You know, we divide every little study into here's viruses, here's bacteria, here's germs. You know, it's all divided. Everybody's a specialist. I don't know, maybe they are separate. I don't know. And we're not trying to say that definitive, to say, I know something, so just listen to me. It's all definitive. No, we're just saying, like, if it's, you know, we're not trying to prove if something's true or false, or we're not, especially not trying to prove it's false and find the exception, right? And we're just saying, oh, well, if it works 80% of the time in my life that I look at my language and something happens different, wouldn't that be valuable? And so then we're not really defending anything and trying to disprove somebody else. It's just a conversation for possibilities.
There you go. A conversation for possibilities. I like it.
Yeah. And then David is my very best conversationist for possibilities. So then I solely appreciate this man here. Mr. David. No.
Richard, lovely talking to you, brother.
Okay. I know we'll do a lot of them.